Good morning, people. As you know, we are going to miss April 7th due to the Planet Convention at North Metro campus. The school will be closed through the end of next week, so we will be missing our class. We have a lot to cover. I don't want to lose the time. And you already have homework that you need to complete. In order to do that, you have to have the lectures. So, here's what we're going to do. I am recording a lecture for Chapter 47. There will be one for Chapter 48. There also will be one for Chapter 37, which is about the descriptive paragraph. And what I may do is, since our date for that is a little later anyway, we'll do that on the 14th, but I wanted to give you an overview. Alright, this is the lecture for Chapter 47, which is simple sentences, begins on page 827 if you want to use your book. Alright, there's a few terms that we need to know before we get started. First thing that we need to learn about is what a sentence actually is. Now, some of you have been in 097. You should already know this, especially if you were with me. However, we're going to hold up this and I'm going to explain exactly what a sentence is. A sentence contains, one or more subjects, one or more verbs, and most importantly, a complete thought. Size does not matter. So a sentence has to have a subject, has to have something that it's about, has to have a verb, has to have an action, or a state of being. And it has to create a complete thought. Now we're going to learn about things later on that don't create complete thoughts, but for right now we're just dealing with a simple sentence. Another term for the simple sentence is an independent clause, and you'll need to know that eventually because we will be constructing more complicated sentences that are going to need independent clauses and dependent clauses, or even a relative clause. If a sentence is missing a subject or a verb, it's incomplete. We're going to learn about some other ways that a sentence can be incomplete as well, but that comes in later chapters. Please understand that a subject can be singular or plural. A singular subject is one person, place, or thing. A plural is more than one person, place, or thing. You should know this by now. Understand that subjects can be pronouns. Pronouns are words like I, you, he, she, we, they, and they can act as the subject of the sentence. Also, we can have words that end in ing. Now, they're going to look like a verb, but they're not. They're called gerunds. Gerunds are ing verbs that act as the subject of the sentence. Okay, so a gerund is an ing verb acting as a subject, as in relaxing is important. Relaxing is the subject, is our verb. Notice that the ing verb in this sentence doesn't have a helper, and there's your key. An ing verb hanging out with no helping verb oftentimes is called a gerund. Yes, this will be on the test. Compound subjects. Sometimes a sentence will have more than one subject because we like to talk about more than one thing. So we may have a sentence like Stuart and Gina went to the ball game. Subject is Stuart and Gina. Alright. Now normally at this point we would do a practice, play around with it. We're just going to do a simple lecture. You have your homework online. Please be doing that over the next week. Excuse me. Ooh, here's something that you will need to know about. Sometimes we have sentences that simply tell us to do something. They're commands. Such as, remember to use your coupon. Now, we begin looking for the subject of the sentence. It could get confusing, right? Some people might choose remember, which is actually the verb. You might choose your, but that's not it either. With this is a command. It tells you to do something. So, what you need to do when you see a command like this, it has a subject, but it's sneaky. It's hidden. It means you. It's telling you to remember to use your coupon. You is the subject. And so there may be sentences like this in your homework. There may be some sentences like this on the test, so you need to practice. Okay. Also, there are sentences that begin with the words here or there. Be careful. These sentences, here and there, in these sentences, they're not the subject. All right. So we have a sentence. There are 5 ways to market a product. Now, it'd be easy to say that there is the subject, but it's not. Instead, ways is. There are 5 ways. So ways is the subject. So we have to be careful. There and here are never the subject of the sentence. They're simply leaders to take us to the subject. Okay, hopefully since you're in 098 you have some idea about prepositions and prepositional phrases, but in case you don't, let's talk about them. A preposition is one of the parts of speech. It is a word that links nouns, pronouns, or phrases to other words in a sentence. I don't think that explains it well enough. A preposition basically expresses a relationship between 2 nouns, 2 pronouns, or 2 phrases in a sentence. In fact, we can use a preposition to create something called a prepositional phrase. We're using a lot of terms here. Let's put up some stuff. We know what a preposition is. And for those of you that have the book, it's on page 830 if you want to take a look at this. There's a whole list of prepositions. Also, there should be some stuff about this on my writing lab as well. Along with the video, there's a video for this as well. So you want to take the time to look at this, to play around with it. Prepositions continue to come back. We will see these again. All right. So let's step back a minute. Let's talk about what a phrase is. We've already talked a little bit about independent clause, and a clause is basically a group of words with a subject and a verb. Sometimes they're complete, sometimes they're not. We'll talk about that more specifically when we get to our next chapter. But for now, let's talk about what a phrase is. Phrase is a little bit of difference. A phrase is a group of words. Excuse me. A group of words that has